I want to introduce Eli Howard, the head technical director of SMACNA, to our podcast today. Eli, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in position, and how things are evolving in your world.
Great, thanks, Michael. Yeah, it's good to be here. I've been with SMACNA 25 plus years now. I handle the technical services department for SMACNA, which really develops the 40 plus standards that we have in the industry. Our most prominent ones are duct construction, duct leakage for commercial and industrial applications, but we go across the board into the architectural world, into the building commissioning world, the indoor air quality world, which has led us to get involved with ASHRAE, the building code groups, and trying to get involved there to make sure we can get our standards adopted into the model codes, which we've been very successful at, and that's been the basis of construction and design for the engineering community and also for our contractors within SMACNA to abide by those standards that we put forth.
And Joseph, being a past president of SMACNA, what has SMACNA meant to you and your growth as a company, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, so personally, I want to start personal. I was working in a shop. My dad's business had failed. I was an apprentice, about third or fourth year apprentice, and the owner came out and said, "Hey, have you heard of the SMACNA College of Fellows?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Well, here's an application for a scholarship. You need to fill that out and write a resume or a letter and get that in." I go, "When's it due?" He goes, "Tonight by midnight." So I filled it out, hand carried it to a drop box with my soon-to-be wife, and we dropped it off, and I became a College of Fellows Scholarship Award winner. I was paying for my own school. I'm now in the College of Fellows. So personally, huge. My children been affected. They've known Eli for 20 plus years as well. He told them, showed them how to crack lobster in Vermont one time even. But from a personal aspect, my best friends are tradespeople, business owners, SMACNA contractors. So personally, SMACNA has meant a lot. Most people, I talk to apprentices. I do contractor school here locally. I ask them what SMACNA is, and they don't know. But some of them say, "Oh, it's got something to do with standards." And so they think of Eli right off the bat, right? That's what SMACNA is synonymous with, is the standards. But everything they offer, from the business training, opportunities there, networking, peer groups, all that is huge. Similar to Aidan, I've called Eli with questions. He's got to see our shop finally. He sees that we don't just build ductwork, we build some very odd things. And I've even called him on those kind of things, like, "Hey, we've got this kind of build, it's going outside, it's got a snow load," and he'll direct me in the right direction of, like, "Well, I think this might work for you," those kind of things. It's been a great relationship.
Good. Let's talk about the construction types that's going on across Australia and the U.S. And we're just going to say right now the data center, because that seems to be a collaborative effort between Australia and the U.S. Speak to that a little bit from a SMACNA standards perspective, Eli.
Well, from a standards standpoint, these data centers, they're massive projects. They pretty much take us to the limits of our commercial duct construction standard, and we've got to blend the industrial standard with the commercial standard because of the size of the ductwork we're dealing with. Most people, commercial jobs, you're something 48-inch, 72-inch diameter, but when you get to the industrial stuff, it gets to numbers that are beyond what we've ever seen in the past. These are huge duct operations. So what we try to do is work with our contractors to say, here's some options you have. Again, we don't know how every shop is set up around the world, so we try to come up with some options. So we look at these big data centers, we might say, here's 3 different ways to build this piece of ductwork that's going to be 240 inches by whatever. Or here's the way to build these huge elbows that you're going to have on this project, and then here's the way to test this out. So we give them the options they have, and then they'll go back to their shops and try to figure out what is the best way to build that. And they'll come back with questions to us saying, "Hey, we'd like to do it this way, maybe a 2-footer instead of a 4-footer. Okay, here's how you can do it that way. Hey, is there a way we can do something with the tie rods? Hey, what about the slip-on flange, roll form flange? What can we do in those arenas? What about external angle? What can we do to keep the size down?" Because some of these big projects, even with the lower pressure, you're going to get some huge reinforcement angles on the exterior of these things, which is much bigger for our commercial contractors than they've ever done. Industrial guys, maybe so. So we always look at those options as we're working through for the contractors to see what's going to be most beneficial for them in their shops. And everyone builds it a little bit differently. Sure. And then the other aspect we talk about is, getting it from the shop to the job site. I mean, you can build it in shop, great, but we got to get it to the job site. So this has been a new thing for a lot of our contractors that have not been in the data center world, that now all of a sudden, boy, we can build this, but okay, how am I going to get this from Bloomington, across town? Do I have to start bringing into all the aspects of transportation, getting on flatbeds, and it makes a difference in how you're going to construct it. Or do we try to do some things on site? Do we bring it knocked down, build it up on site? It's some pretty unique stuff that we work with our contractors on now that we've never had to worry about really before on the smaller commercial ductwork.
So the commercial fabricators, sheet metal contractors are on the verge of being both industrial and sheet metal.
For doing these data centers, you pretty much have to be right in the middle. You've got to be commercial, and you're going to go right into industrial at a certain point to use that particular document to get some of these panels that are just, again, massive in size.
Hey, now I'll ask you, I see a lot of your marketing efforts, which are phenomenal, and Joseph does the same thing. How do you attack these data centers in fabrication, and what's your mindset there?
Well, most of the data center work that we do outside of the admin buildings is just big runs of duct. It's the size of that whiteboard there. So we make them, we'll join them together in the factory, we'll stitch cut the holes out in them, lag around the channel around the holes, build them onto a pallet, and then they can pick them up, put them on a truck, take them off a truck, take them off site, lift them up. Because the duct's too big to handle piece by piece. Right. So what we're working on now is joining more lengths of duct together. So we've got a couple of tricky ways of joining the TDF flanges together, bolted and structural cleats. Mm-hmm. We want to join more pieces together to take that field labour. Guys are picking up duct 3 metres by 2.5 metres, one piece at a time, up in the sky is not even safe. Yeah. You're much better off if you can pick it up with 2 forks and set it up and palletise it, or bring it in on wheels, wheel it into place. So it's a different type of construction. But a lot of the data centres in Australia are liquid cooling, they're water cooling. So the amount of duct work, it just depends if it's an air heavy or a water heavy.
And that's different here.
It depends on whose data center. I'm not going to mention names, obviously, but there's some that are air-driven, some that are water-cooled. On the air-cooled, tons of outside air, tons of louvers. Not my innovation, but I've seen other contractors even take and do pre-assemblies on the louvers, where they have a special mount on the forklift. They offload the louver out of the truck and drive it in, and then they can spin it and then install it in the wall with a sleeve and everything in one piece. So there's a lot of innovation going on. I don't know where it translates in future work outside of data centers, but I've seen some real creative things done with tie rod and tie rod attachments. You're talking, huge diameter tie rods here too, massive stuff. So just real innovative thinking. And same thing, it's just large.
It becomes a logistic
problem.
Yeah. Construction, we can always fabricate it, but how do you move it from A to B?
Yeah.
So,
Eli, you mentioned before, and I know Aidan, you said the same. You rely on Eli quite a bit when it comes to technical, and you'll make the phone call. I mean, the hours between Australia and U.S. is how many hours difference?
12. Doesn't matter. My phone's on 24/7.
It's 19, I think.
It's days. Yeah.
It's almost a day.
Yeah.
I would imagine he answers your phone call when you call. Where I was going with that, Eli, is you've got to have a team to do that, because I know you get pulled in so many different directions. I mean, there are times when I call and you answer, and I want to thank you for that, because my questions are probably not as serious as Aidan's questions are. Talk about your team and how that support role that you have to help you navigate through the contractors and the needs and demands.
Well, one of the things, I came originally from the contracting background before I came into SMAC, and one of the things I promised when I got into SMAC now, we need engineers. We do have engineers on staff, but I wanted to make sure I had people that came from the contracting background. So I've done really good over the years making sure the people I have in there, senior project managers, came from the HVAC industry and understand when a contractor calls, it's typically because they needed the answer 2 days ago. Right? They needed help a week ago. Yeah. They never give us a call and say, hey, we're bidding this job 6 months away from now. Can you help us out? We love those calls, but that's not what happens. So we understand the urgency when a contractor calls. No matter where they're calling from, anytime, we're trying to get an answer back to them within a 24-hour window. Sometimes they're dealing with the building code official or an engineer, and we don't give them an answer, that project might stop. Right. And if it stops or grinds to a halt, then they're going to get, on the sheet metal side, they're going to get overrun by the other trades. So it's important for us to try to make sure we get information back to them as quickly as possible. And the team I've assembled really understands that. So it's a little bit of the early bird gets the worm.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people know I've got a big Labrador. I'm out walking that dog at 4:30 in the morning, and the phone might go off, and that's fine.
Yeah.
They know the early bird gets their worm, and that's just the way the business and the industry that we're in. A little different in that we've got West Coast contractors, Hawaii contractors, which usually meet at dinner time, and then the Australian contractors.
Yeah.
So it varies where the calls and emails come in from, but we try to make sure we address those within that 24-hour window if we can. Sometimes it's a little bit more extensive than that, but basically we try to stay within that window.
That's a good point. You know, Joseph's up very early. He's here very early.
I should have never let Mike know that.
And that's where I was going. There have been times where I know he's up, and I'm up, and I said, well, this is a good time maybe to try Joseph, because it's, you know, the chaos hadn't started yet,
Exactly.
right? So,
Yeah.
but I used that too many times, I think, and there was one phone call where he said, look, I'm answering, but here's how I answer. Just because you know I'm up doesn't mean you get to call me every time.
Yeah, at 4 in the morning, I go, hey, Mike, this is fine, but
a little bit much.
hey, I am in the car going to work, but you don't need to call.
Right.
Yeah.
As we kind of conclude here, just conclude with Poynter Sheet Metal. Your thoughts about Poynter Sheet Metal, where it's at today, where you think Poynter's going, how you feel about Poynter Sheet Metal.
Yeah, so we're set up for success in the future. I've got the next generation all lined up. Love work. Aidan loves work, but there's got to be an end to it at some point. So it's all about looking forward, innovating, and progressing the company. And so I think we've selected people that can do that. Don't know when that's going to be, but they're ready. The company's ready. You know what? I think I might get in the way. At some point, that's where I think I'll know because I'm the one that's in the way of innovation, and where I feel like I've been the one that's progressed the company forward. Once I feel like I'm the one that's holding it back, then it's probably time. Industry's got a lot of opportunity. Again, I mentioned the alpha, the margin. There's a lot of margin to be found in the companies. We keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing and getting that thing better and better and better. I think that's where it's going to head.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Aidan, same question to you. I mean, you built this business and you've seen it evolve. Where is Kavanagh today? Where do you see it going? How do you feel about Kavanagh, where it's at today?
Hopefully I'll leave a legacy, and the business can continue on in some way, shape or form. I'd like to be working on innovation, not working in the business, because I think somebody needs to put their head around how we make ductwork. We've done a lot with machinery, but we're still a very manual operation. We've still got a lot of boys out there and girls out there with hammers banging ductwork together. We've got to minimise that. So I'd really like to put some more time and thought into how we can physically change the way we make ductwork. Like what we've done with the straights in the last 35 years, we haven't done much with the fittings. We've gone from knock-on flange to TDF flange, but we're still fundamentally making ductwork. We've automated the same process. We haven't revolutionised the way we made it. So I'd like to spend a bit more time on that.
Well, legacy, you just mentioned that, and that's important because as I see all three of you, your legacy, right? You're iconic, what you've done for the industry, Smacton, of course, and your 38 years, your 35 years or such. I mean, you've given back. So I think the industry should say thank you for that, right? How about Smacton, just as we conclude? Where Smacton is today, how you feel about Smacton, and where you think Smacton is going to go moving forward, or what it needs to do, possibly?
I think there's lots of opportunity out there for SMACT as a trade association to help develop our contractors and help provide programs to them. I mean, Joe mentioned it earlier about the business management programs, the project management programs, supervisory programs, safety programs we have, just all that innovation that we can put together to assist our contractors on the educational front of where this industry is going and so forth. I think on the technical side, the same thing. We're looking at innovation on how to fabricate ductwork different ways. What can we do with all the accessory pieces that you would have in the fabrication of ductwork to make that more cost effective for the contractors and better overall for the industry itself. For me personally, it's I thrive on this. I thrive on solving problems. It's opportunities to solve a problem, and I just thrive on that, and I'm not sure I can ever walk away from it forever, but I just love the challenge when I get the phone call or the email from a contractor, we got this problem, we can't figure out how to fabricate this thing. It's like, okay, that's where I like to shine at, and I love it to this day.
I'd say the same. Mestech Machinery, I've been around Lockform Iowa for 30 years now, and I tell most folks I haven't had a job in 20. you know, you said before, friends and relationships, and you get to meet the families and all those things. It's so critically important, and that's when you know you have a relationship, when you meet the family as well. So Mestech Machinery says thank you to Smacna, to Poynter, to Kavanagh. Appreciate you being here today. I think that's conclusion for me.